back, Phosphor.fans. Earl at thelogbook.com. Once again, firing up the Apple II to play a hot game of Super Zaxxon. It's the original floppy. I kind of like to show these off so you know what form the software took physically. This was the original floppy in the original envelope, no less. Released in 1984, though something seems awfully familiar about it. Let's see if we can put a finger on what that something familiar might be. The game's really slow, for one thing. I think I've figured out exactly what the very familiar something is. This is exactly the same as Datamost's Zaxxon that came out a couple of years earlier. For some reason my controller is not working and so I'm unable to fire. I'll just get through the game as best I can, show you as much as I can. The missile silos, the turrets, are obviously, they're kind of tiled. The red features on the surface of the space station really they seem to be added on, and they really seem to be slowing things down. I mean, to a significant degree. It's like they took the Datamost code and just added stuff to it. And granted, Super Zaxxon in the arcade was simply was very much a similar case where they took the original Zaxxon and just piled a few things on top of it. Which is great if you can pull that off in the arcade without, you know, destroying the game, damaging the balance of the game. But doing that here is different. I mean, it is so obviously the same game. Wish I could actually fire. That would be good, since the point of the game is to survive. In the meantime, I am just lying low. Okay, and now we're in the red zone. What is this? The arcade game, yeah, the arcade game has a tunnel scene, if you will. That depends on you kind of confining your movement. Boy, is this game slow. Alright. I wonder if I can resolve the firing. There we go. There we go. Okay. This is as fast as the game goes. That's it. That is as fast as it goes. could just crash into that gun turret. That's fine too. That's one way to take it out. Just not what's in the manual under best practices. I'll put it that way. Yeah, in virtually every respect, it's like a mod. Today we would call it a mod of the DataMost code. And that's, I mean, I suppose it's kind of like, remember some time back we covered an Apple II game called Taxman, which was a really good version of Pac-Man. And the problem is that it was good enough to get the company that made it sued, and therefore the Taxman code later saw the light of day as Atari Soft's Pac-Man, now officially licensed after the fact with some modifications. Now, the DataMost version of Zaxxon was official. It was licensed by Sega, but this is a case where it looks like Sega decided it was going to get into the home computer business and just decided to modify the code itself. I believe we're coming up on the tunnel now. It's kind of hard to tell because half my ship just became invisible because it's the same color as the floor. Alright, into the tunnel we go. That's what I was afraid of. Okay, I'm almost out of the tunnel. Now I wonder how this version of Super Zaxxon handles the fact that the arcade game traded in the robot for a cutesy dragon. Oh, I get a bonus, 2,000 points. And all of a sudden that was like the fastest the game has been. Alright, Big Z, coming back at you. Of course, in Zaxxon, the higher you fly, the more fuel you consume, so that's why you start hugging the floor, because not only can you shoot the fuel tanks, which somehow manages to transfer fuel to your vehicle, squeaker. I just want to stay alive to see if the robot has become a cute dragon in the home version as well as the arcade version. That was really the big change, that and trading the open space battle for the tunnel level. Those were the big changes in the arcade game. Alright, I think I'm able to make it through this force field. Let's shoot up some fuel tanks. toast here because we are immediately going through another force field. So I'm not even going to try to drop down to low altitude and engage anyone there. I think we're boss battle time. Are you ready for... Let's see if they changed it. I think they did. Maybe. Yep. And he killed me. Oh. Maybe not yet. He hasn't killed me yet. Now he killed me. Game over, player one. Interesting that it suddenly switched over to the green and purple color palette from the red and blue color palette. Such are the limitations of high-resolution Apple II graphics. There you have it, Sega's Super Zaxxon. Looks awfully familiar, plays awfully familiar, and might have been better if they had just started from scratch on their own software.